Thank you for coming in so super early. I hope you had a great time last night, boogieing away while I was practicing my presentation. And I hope that you're caffeinated and awake and excited because we are going to talk about how you, yes, you, can run a community-based training or workshop, either in your community or in your, yes, we are at Trailhead DX. Just in case you're wondering, this is where you are. You are in the right place, the very right place. And yes, this is me. This is me, Karen Jameson. Woo! It is my great, great privilege to help content get up on Trailhead. It's like the best job ever. With my boss sitting right there. She's amazing. Woohoo! So a little bit about my story very quickly and why I wanted to do this session. I have, before I joined Salesforce about 1.5 years ago, I was an admin for 4 years. And I really wanted to learn to code, and it was kind of difficult doing it on my own. Mostly because I didn't prioritize it, you know? So if you don't prioritize something, you don't get it done. And everything always gets in the way. So I wanted to hold myself accountable, so I started writing a blog about how admins might understand coding in admin terms at Women Code Heroes. The URL is up there if you want to check it out. And then I also helped start a group along with Angela Mahoney, who's sitting in the front row, and some other people who hopefully will make it through the security line at some point, called RAD Women. And that is for admins who are wanting to learn to code, just like we did. So what I learned from that is empowering groups of people is amazing. And it's this massive kind of euphoric experience for me. And I wanted to share it with you because it's actually really easy to do. You know, there's lots of different ways of doing it. We probably didn't do the most easy way of doing it, but you get to learn from what we're doing. So forward-looking statements. There will be some things probably that I talk about in terms of Trailhead that are a little new, but only purchased based on what is available in the current product. You probably have heard that before. So what am I going to talk about today? Today I'm going to talk about why I think Trailhead is just fabulous for group learning, all the tools that are in there and some things that we're going to be building in that really make it easy. I'm also going to talk about 3 different models for programs that work, that have been working for, you know, some of them for years. And I'm also going to have some Q&A from some of the community leaders who created these programs or work with these programs. So we'll bring them up on stage afterwards, and it'll be really great. So think about your questions, what you want to learn. But why Trailhead? Why is it so great for empowering groups of people? Well, the first thing is it's bite-sized. So you can mix and match different content for your learning paths, for whatever you want to teach the people that you're trying to empower. So you can do that on the unit level, on the module level. We have these projects that are hands-on. You can check one of them out if you want to in Camp Quick Start. It's a great way of sort of seeing what this stuff is like. And those are the things that we teach generally in the project in these programs are these projects. But you can do longer-term learning with modules and different units that you can mix and match. It's also really fun. Fun is a core value at Trailhead, so we don't just focus on clear, good communication and content. We also try and make it fun because learning is so much easier to absorb when it's fun, right? So that's one of our things. It's also interactive because we know, and probably you know, that when you get hands-on in something and get interactive with it, you retain that learning a lot more. So it's really helpful to have wherever possible, we try and get hands-on, whether that's through instructions in the projects or the modules or a challenge at the end that's hands-on. So as much as possible, we get hands-on. And that will help your learners as well, because there's nothing quite like, I mean, the difference is you can read a blog or you can do something, you know? And doing that thing, sometimes there's a big gap between those two things. And so we help bridge that gap. The other thing is it's ready-made. So, you know, creating your own program can be a bit daunting. Creating your own learning, even more daunting. We have behind and beside me, invisible, are like teams of people who write content and maintain that content. Because I don't know if you know this, but Salesforce releases 3 times a year, so everything changes 3 times a year, right? And so we go in and make sure that all of that content is updated for you. So this is great. You don't have to worry about that. So there you go. But these are things you probably knew about Trailhead, but what are the new things that we either have just launched or we're about to launch? The first thing I want to talk about is this thing called favorites. There's this little heart icon right there. If you click that heart, guess what? You've favorited that content. And it's great because we're all busy. We don't have time, generally, to, when we find a new module that we release content approximately once a month. So a lot of content is coming out, and you might want to just say, hey, I want to see that later. I don't have time for it now. So favorites are a great way of doing that. The next thing I want to talk about was developed by Mr. Jeff Douglas, who's sitting right there. Yes. And it's called Trailhead Tracker. And what that does is it allows you to assign modules and projects to people in your agencies and then track whether they've done it. So if you are wanting to run a training program within your workforce, you can assign pre-work before they come to a hands-on kind of session. You can just create a whole path for them, and you can see where they've done, where they've got to. There's dashboards and reports that will help you do leaderboards. Gamification is always good. You always want to have a little healthy competition going on. So that stuff is all in Trailhead Tracker. It's a managed package on the App Exchange, so download that. But one of the challenges in this is that, I don't know about you, but who here logs into Trailhead using either a social sign-on or their personal email address or a community? So that, for privacy reasons, we're not going to allow just anybody to track whether somebody has done a badge. Random person out there has done a badge. But so what we do, we're going to have this thing, forward-looking statement, called org linking, where on your own Trailhead account, you can link multiple orgs. So I can link as me, my personal account, my DE account that I use to log into, and my work account. So that as someone who's managing those trainings, you can, yes, I'm getting some yes, that's great. So that will help you use Trailhead Tracker and be able to include everybody who's in your agency. So that's really great. So that's Trailhead. That's the features, but let's talk about the programs. So there's a lot of different ways that you can train. There's a lot of different ways this could look, from teaching a workshop to a lunch and learn to doing a class. Thank you for the slide, Mary. This is a great slide. Chris Duarte over there. But what do these all have in common? They all have in common that they're trying to get people to walk out of these trainings more confident than when they walked in. So that is your goal as both the training and also as a trainer, because ultimately you're trying to, in your workforce, you're trying to make sure that these people really understand this product so that they don't keep asking you the same question over and over again, right? Yes, and they can run their own reports. Wouldn't that be great? So this is what you want. And so there's lots of different ways of doing it, but I'm going to talk about 3 different models that have been around for a while. Actually, one of them is brand new, but 2 of them have been around for a while. One is Salesforce Saturday, another is Trailhead for All, and then we have Duarte slides that the fabulous Chris Duarte put together that will help teach you all about these things. So let's get into some details. And Stephanie is going to be here. She's probably stuck in the line right now. But Stephanie Herrera, is an amazing Salesforce MVP. She is the leader of the Austin Women in Technology group, and she also founded and created Salesforce Saturday. She is the director of Salesforce and Business Systems at Steadfast, and she created this program called Salesforce Saturday, super easy to get going. It's probably one of the easiest things you can do. You find a location that has an internet connection. She started it in a cafe. And you invite people to come along, and you do Trailhead badges together. So it's really, really easy. It's great because you don't have to actually plan the learning paths. Everybody's doing the badges that work best for them. And you're there to help each other out if you get stuck, because goodness knows sometimes you're looking at, like, what is wrong? And it's like, oh, There's an extra I in that variable name. Oh, yes, that's what's wrong. So it's really great. You can celebrate together. Yay! It's kind of like I've been working at the Quick Start, and every time someone gets a badge and we say, woohoo! I mean, that is a great way of feeling great about what you're learning. And it's a great way of getting to know people. You know, if you are a solo admin, I was a solo admin when I was an admin, and so it would have been great to have this place where I could kind of not only do these badges, but also get to know people. Also, as a developer, you can do all the developer stuff. Sorry, I'm talking a lot about the admin stuff because that's where I came from, but it is equally as relevant in the developer world. So there's lots of tips here. These slides will be available, and hopefully Stephanie will make it through the security and can answer some questions, but I can also answer some questions. Yeah, so the next program I want to talk about is Trailhead for All. And this does take a little bit more time. It's more on the one-off, large-scale event. It's where you go into your local community, your nonprofit, your school, and teach a project that is a bit more I'm lost my word. It's bigger. It's bigger than maybe a Quick Start. So for example, Jeff created Build a Battle Station app. And that's a really great one to teach in these kind of environments because it goes through all levels of the platform. And you're working with people who maybe don't know anything about Salesforce, but they're going to get hands-on and they're going to learn something and get involved in this. But this does take a little bit more time. You are going to have a set curriculum. You are going to need some helpers to help you help out people when they get stuck. But the great thing about our community is that if you put something out there and say, hey, I need some helpers, generally you're going to be flooded with people. And if you're not, talk to us because we know lots of people and the success community is huge. And there are a lot of tools out there to help you get this going. Shona Hughes, who's sitting in the front row here and will be answering questions about Trailhead for All, did a great blog post about how she organized everything. So you can just check that out. I made a little short link for that and check it out afterwards. So what's the next one? The next one is by the incredible editor-in-chief of Trailhead, Chris Duarte right there. She was laughing at me because she was like, this looks nothing like me anymore. I'm like, yeah, but send me an image. She's like, just put Astro up there. I'm like, well, Astro's already up there, so, you know, I can't do that. But she is not only an amazing writer and has written a lot of Trailhead content, but she's also an incredible presenter, and she knows how to chunk information in ways that is really easy for learners to understand. And she has created these 6, and I hear rumors that she might be creating more, but I don't want to put pressure on her, that are at all levels of experience. And she has this great slide deck that is part of these resources that you can find if you go to bit.ly/duarte-slides. So you'll not only get these slide shows, presentations that walk through welcoming people. I mean, it really does everything for you. Welcomes you, helps you, people get on Trailhead, logging in. I don't know if you noticed, but that's probably the hardest part of Trailhead is logging in, but we're working on it. We keep working on it. We'll keep working on it. But also going through all of the concepts that are taught in the particular project that she has put into each one of these slides. And so it kind of takes the guesswork out of having to figure out, well, how do I explain that concept in a different way that's sort of different from what we do in the project? Because sometimes having different language is really helpful. And also there's some tips for teaching these different learning paths, and Chris will be coming up on stage to answer questions as well afterwards. So that went a lot faster than I was planning, but there's going to be lots of time for Q&A. But what did we learn? We learned that Trailhead is amazing and continues to be amazing. I'm going to briefly talk about one more feature that we're going to be launching soonish. And that's called Trailmix. And Trailmix, what it does is it allows you to pull in different content and create your own trail in a way. And it can be public or private. And at some point, you'll be able to track who started it and who's completed it. So that's also going to be a really good way of tracking people. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And there's no slide, so no one can let me get in trouble. So what did we learn? We learned that Trailhead has a ton of resources for learning. A ton of resources. They should never give me a mic. Because you never know what I'm going to say. I don't think I'm spilling any major secrets, right? Good. Trailhead has all of these great features. We have great content. We update it at least 3 times a year with each release. And there's new content coming on at all different levels every month, sometimes twice a month. We are pushing that content out. And we have fun. You can tell. We have fun doing our job. So we try and put as much fun in there as possible. And there's already a hand up. Okay, so there is a question that says, what is the youngest age that learners can learn at? And I think, Shona, your son was 8? Yes. So Shona's son was 8. She taught a group of kids who were in that age range. And what did you teach them? Did you teach them at the Battle Step? No. Get out. Oh, woo! These are not easy chairs to get out of. I just want to say that. And I'm like, Shana, you might want to practice getting out of that chair.
I felt like I was pregnant again. You know that lift, and you're like, oh. So my son at the time, he was 8 in a classroom. My son has special needs. So he's in a EBD, special education classroom, and I went into the classroom, taught them the quick start. I actually don't remember the trail right now, but the class was full of special needs students. They were able to walk through the trail and actually complete it. They understood what they were learning. They were able to ask questions and engage, so as early as you possibly can in my book.
Has anybody, I know that we have a gentleman over here, and I'm blanking on your name. Yes, you. Mark. So Mark is also looking at creating a training for school-based, and I think it's high school? Yeah. So there's lots of programs that are around. I think that teaching these kind of skills to in the school setting is a really valuable way of doing it, because there's already structure. There's sometimes computer programs that are already happening. Sometimes it can be part of a science class. And it's also part of the STEM, and at least in California, Common Core. So there's a lot of ways that you can kind of tie into that educational activity. Before I joined Salesforce, I worked for an educational nonprofit, so I kind of know some of that stuff, but just a little, just enough. So what else? What other questions do we have? Oh, Mary Scotton.
I've heard of this program called Girl Develop It.
Oh,
I hear they teach adult women how to code. Is that also the type of learning that the community might get involved in?
Absolutely. This is what you call a leading question. Leading question, because Ms. Scotton over here helps run the coordination of the Girl Develop It and Salesforce kind of collaboration. So there are Girl Develop It classes. So Girl Developers is a group, and I'm going to probably mangle this, but we'll see. I have the mic, so, you know. But Girl Develop It is a meet-up environment where you go and you register, and there's a set curriculum, and you go in and you learn something specific. And they have partnered with us to develop trainings, and I think it's the Battle Station app. Yeah, so to teach the Battle Station app, which again it's great because it goes through, as I said before, the entire kind of platform from declarative all the way up to some programmatic, but it's very, in projects, we tell you exactly what to do. So there's never any guesswork. So even if you were teaching something, you could do the project beforehand and feel completely comfortable being able to complete that project. And if you can't answer the questions that come up afterwards, that's okay, because we have this great success community that we can post things on and that you can get answers for. And there's like Steve Moe, who's like, will answer anything for anybody at any time of night, it seems. So it's a great program, and you can volunteer for those programs, and how, Mary, do they find out about these opportunities?
There's a blog on the developer blog, so developer.salesforce.com. There's a blog about that, and it lists the 20 cities that we're doing classes in right now, and how to, and there's a link on there on how to get involved.
Okay.
But it's all community run. I've partnered with the Women in Tech user groups, and right now, like this past Saturday, we had 6 classes taught in 6 different cities,
classes.
all at once, and that was
That's
really
great.
awesome. So it's really now it's a community-led event, right? So I sort of kicked it off, but now it's all of you. So
That's great. And so what I'll do is I'll add that to these slides before I distribute them. So send me info, and I'll add it. Other questions? Questions? Oh, yeah?
I actually do suggest that you guys, if you do plan on running some type of community-led event, to go and do the trail yourself before teaching it to others, because there's things that you learn and that you find out, some quirks, you know, some special things that may happen, because you don't want to be in front of a class and be like, oh my God, what is happening? So you look incompetent. I mean, anyway, it's happened.
So I want to ask a question to those of us in the room, and if you have led one of these trainings, these trainings or other trainings, feel free to answer this question as well. But what do you get out of this?
Well, I get, for me personally, the joy that's on the kids' faces. I learn by teaching, so that's one of the things that I love to do. So teaching others actually feeds my energy and helps me learn more about the platform itself and more about people. And then I'm helping them to realize their potential as well, so that's its own gratification.
And this is Angela Mahoney, and she's, oh, look at that, no hands. Woo!
Should have sat back there.
Core strength is what that is.
I have 2 kids, yeah. I'll say I do 2 things. RAD Women that Kieran mentioned, and that's where we teach women the beginning piece of
Angela?
Apex.
Mike, a little
Closer up.
There you go.
So RAD Women, and then I do something off-platform with code.org, where we're in an elementary school, and every spring we run sessions to teach 1st through 5th graders the joys of coding. And the cool things are, if somebody says, I just passed my certification exam for a platform dev, for example, through RAD. So it's just cool to see other women take that next step and find the confidence to do that. But what really drives me with the little kids, and you probably have seen this as well, is when they're sitting at the computer and they're like, that's cool. This is better than I thought. You know, the joy in those faces makes it all worth it.
I made that happen. I taught at code.org. So code.org is specifically for kids, but I taught code.org with another community member at a nonprofit technology conference, and there were people of all different ages. And what was really cool is there was one gentleman in the audience, and he was a little older, and it was the first time he'd really done anything on the computer at all. And like, I thought, wow, that's really cool that he came in. And at the end of the session, you get to, you ask people to demo what they did, and they create kind of a little program, and it does stuff. And he was like up there, he was like, yes, I am going to demo this. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And that's the power of using a program that you didn't actually create, but has been used all over the place, because I didn't create code.org. But there's all these great resources. So we have some other resources. So Mary, I want to, sorry, my goodness. I did.
Did you just call me Mary Scotton?
I did. Chris,
I take that as a compliment. Mary's
yes,
awesome.
But Chris is also awesome, and this is Chris, my boss, Chris, who I work with every day.
I love Kieran.
I want to ask you, why did you create these slide presentations, and what kind of feedback have you gotten from them?
So thank you, Kieran. I created these slides because I wanted to encourage people like all of you to teach classes in your local communities to help other people learn about Salesforce. There are great jobs available for people with Salesforce skills. For adult learners who are looking for career changes, people in your lives, your friends, your family members, your spouse, your children, for any of them who might be looking for something new, Salesforce careers are really hot, and there are lots of opportunities. So I made these slides to encourage folks like all of you to go out in your communities and teach classes. Now, I know it can be a little intimidating to think about teaching a class, and you look at some of the teachers who are here, like Mary Scotton and Angela Mahoney and Shauna Hughes and Kieran Jameson. Dan Appleman is in the back.
Yes.
Jeff Douglas.
Yes.
You think, I'm not Dan Appleman, I can't get up in front of the room and teach this class. Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. You know more about Salesforce than the people in the class. And they don't have no idea what you're gonna say when you're the teacher. You're gonna teach them something brand new, it's gonna be awesome. And you're gonna teach them some of the basics. So that's the reason I made the decks. The feedback I've gotten has been awesome. People are like, wow, I can just take these and I can just download these and use them. Can I put my branding on them? Absolutely, you can do anything you want to them. Change them, add stuff to them. The point is, all of you are capable of teaching a class, and I hope that you will do it.
Yeah. So we have other questions for our fabulous panel? Okay. Angela.
Angela.
You're just trying to show off that you can get up and down multiple times.
My gym teacher would be so excited. One thing that I also get out of it, and it's a plug as well, if you're thinking about doing this, find somebody to do it with. Find a co-lead or a co-teacher or somebody that when you falter, like Chris says, I don't know what I'm doing, you might not, you probably do, but you can have somebody that says, give it a try, I'm with you, I got your back. I learn other ways to teach things. I don't know everything. Don't tell my husband. But I don't. So sometimes it's just nice to see somebody else's take on, well, I teach it this way. This is my experience. Have you thought about that? And then I get to learn too. So that's a nice benefit of doing something like this with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I started RAD Women. Oh, good. I started RAD Women because I wanted to learn to code. I mean, I was a bit too busy helping run the program to really do that. But if you run one of these other less involved things, then you get to learn along with everybody else. And Mr. Douglas, yes?
So, Ms. Jamison,
Yes.
this is a great presentation so far, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
How does one get started in their community to do this? What are the steps you would take to start this whole process?
Well, I would have a look at each of the short links on each of these slides that I'll send out, and there's a ton of information about how to get started. For Salesforce Saturday, all you really need to do is say, I'm going to turn up, and tell some people, I'm going to turn up, and here's the location, and if it's a cafe, maybe buy some food and drink so that they let you stay there. And that's all you really need to do. For Trailhead for All, read Shauna's blog, and she goes through step by step of what's going to happen. And there's rumor that we're going to be trying to build something to make that a little easier. I don't know what the details are. So
That sounds awesome.
yeah. You know, and in terms of the Duarte slides, just download them, and you can use them in your workplace. So this is what's great about these particular slides, is that you can use them either in a community or in a workplace. Now, of course, you can do the other stuff, but these are more aimed at going out there and educating. There's all different levels. So there are options for whatever level of commitment you have or whatever skill level you're feeling. Yes.
I was going to say, and use the community that surrounds you, because the community is really at your disposal. I mean, to be quite honest, everyone in the community wants to help. They're very, very willing to help. They want to volunteer and get involved. And all you have to do is put out a call, and everyone's like, oh, I'll sign up, I'll help you. And then if you reach out to Salesforce itself, they want to help. They love these initiatives as well. For user group leaders, they provide financial assistance for a lot of these groups to be able to provide swag and food, just so you have that draw, because the more swag you have, the more people that come. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, we have a question over here. So I've got 1 minute, and sorry, my slides just disappeared into doing something strange, but that's okay. I'm going to roll with it. Oh, we have 2 questions. Okay. We have 1 minute.
Will you ever be able to, let's say, customize or create your own models for training based on your business processes for a company?
That's a good question. So I don't know if everybody heard that, but will we be able to open up Trailhead so that you can create your own modules that are specific to your agency? Stay tuned, because I think that might be possible. Stay tuned. So yeah. Watch the space. So, question.
So, Mark from Socrata. Just to back up kind of what everybody's saying here. It's very easy to start a club. I was looking for study partners a year ago, couldn't find any in the Seattle area, went on meetup.com, said, hey, I'm going to be here, I'm going to start doing Trailhead badges. We've been doing the Bellevue Badgers now. We started in a brewery. Now we're at the actual Salesforce Bellevue building. We actually have a co-sponsor with Slalom, who provides usually pizza and beer and sodas. It's very easy to do. My question, when I started, and I know
Like minus 12 seconds. So
minus
make it
12
quick.
seconds.
Yeah.
You talk about getting some support. I've reached out to Holly Firestone to try and get the Bellevue Badgers sanctioned to get something, and I've struck out on every account.
Okay.
How does somebody go about and get that process of getting?
I actually don't know that. Okay, and then we have to wrap up because I'm the first presentation. If we're
Yeah,
late,
so Mark, we
everyone's late.
can figure that out afterward. We can connect you. Well, you've already talked with Holly. We will come up afterward. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. So I want to thank you so much. Who here is going to think about running a group in their community? I love it. Yay. Please tell us your stories. Share it on at Trailhead on Twitter, or send us an email. Reach out somehow, because we'd love to hear how it's going, what we can do to support you, and all of that. So thank you very much, everybody.